Hey, YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is the Real Nathan Daley, and I'm your law enforcement translator, you guys, a 13-year law enforcement veteran, here to provide insight on these difficult topics and current event issues. As you guys know, I do my best. I do my best to give you something that other YouTubers in this space are not going to give you. They choose not to give you, or they're afraid to give it to you. You guys, I keep it real over here, and we do facts over feelings. We're not concerned about how you feel, you guys. We just deal with the raw truth. A genuine perspective from someone who did the job, especially when we're talking about things in regarding the race, relations with policing, corruption, and police accountability, but also citizen accountability, right? One of the things that we don't like to talk about, you guys, we cover it all over here. Two things can be true at the same time, you guys. They're not mutually exclusive. You have opportunities where a citizen is wrong and the officer is wrong at the same time, you guys, and we dissect it. We absolutely break it down. Now, listen, before I get into all that, you guys, welcome to the channel. For those who are new, please subscribe if you see value in this channel. And also, please hit the like button, you guys. It goes a long way. And also, every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, you guys, we do live streams on this channel. So please come by and support. Anything that you like to ask, if you like to debate, I'm open to it all, you guys. You know my rules. You got to cam up. If you're going to stand up, cam up, right? Put your face where your words are, and you're more than welcome to come on the stream and have a discussion. Oftentimes, many people don't take the offer, bless their heart, right? But the offer still stands, you guys. Listen, what are we talking about today? We're talking about Tariq Nasheed. Now, I just learned about him not too long ago. And since I got on YouTube, I wasn't familiar with him as much as I am now, especially since he's been very vocal lately in reference to police issues. And from my understanding, he's always been very vocal about police issues, you guys. Listen, I have put myself in a position where I am going to address when people are grossly inaccurate about police issues, especially as it relates to race, relations, police corruption. When someone misspeaks, you guys, I'm going to correct them. I don't care who they are. We're going to talk about it. And what's interesting, though, is recently I saw a interview that he was actually doing on No Jumper. And I was like, wow, this is a great interview. And they asked him some questions about police encounters, police brutality, just the criminal justice system. And he didn't really have much to say. I thought it was interesting. So I said, you know what, listen, this would be a great person to interview on this channel. Now, there's another caveat, though. You guys, he's also, if I'm not mistaken, and this is Tariq Nasheed for those who are not familiar with him, he is, one could argue he's very successful in the endeavors that he has put his energy into, right? He has made movies, documentaries, I believe. He's very, I would say, pro-black. He's for black empowerment, from what I understand from the small amount of research that I've done. He has done some very interesting documentaries documenting the history or missing history of black Americans in this country, things that have not been taught. And he's interviewed some people in these documentaries. And I heard the documentaries are pretty good as well. So outside of that, he's very outspoken. He has his own channel as well, Tariq Radio, I believe. I will put the link. You'll see that I have linked him to this video as well. And he is very vocal about black issues, but not just specific black, not just black skin issues, but what he calls FBA, the Foundational Black Americans, you guys. And that's something that we're going to touch on here because he touches on it a lot. I haven't seen all of his content, and I just recently became aware of him from other people. He has a huge following of people who are black Americans who identify as foundational black Americans. And those who are not familiar with that term, it means anyone who was a descendant of an American slave, they can trace their lineage back to slavery. And so it's a very unique identification because it's also tied to the demands of reparations. And so that is something that I also believe that he's fighting for and demanding that the government give ADOS, or for those who are not familiar with that, American descendants of slaves, reparations due to slavery. With that being said, you guys, he also speaks out on a lot of issues. He has a lot of choice words to say about immigrants, black immigrants that come to the United States. So there's on YouTube, since I've been here, there's been some sort of a division between what they call immigrants, black immigrants, that he identifies and calls them tethers, right? And then, of course, black Americans. So now there's a divide. So you're going to hear him say certain things in this video, you guys. I'm going to play a video clip, which sparked me to do this video, this review, I guess you would say. And it's in reference to what he had to say about something that happened in Atlanta. You guys, for those who are familiar with Fani Willis, the DA here in Atlanta, I've did a video on this already. You guys are familiar with Fani Willis. What is she known for, you guys? A lot. She's been getting into a lot of things lately. One, the entire Trump situation with the phone call and the allegations of him trying to rig the election here in Georgia. That has come up, and she's investigating that, sending out subpoenas and whatnot. So she's definitely under a magnifying glass, right? What else is she known for? She's also known for the Rico case against YSL, Young Thug and his crew, right? She put this Rico case together, indicting them and all of their cronies. And it was a big deal, right? Why? Because she used their rap lyrics as a form of evidence towards the indictment. And some people don't like that. You guys, I love it. I think it's a beautiful tool to use. We have a serious crime problem here in Atlanta, and she's doing something about it. Unfortunately, a lot of the faces of these criminals that are being arrested happen to be black. So people feel some kind of way about it. Well, just recently again, she's back in the news again, you guys. And I did a video about it. And I'll put the link here for you to check it out. She also does another Rico case against another group of rappers, and they happen to be black. They're not all rappers, but they are a gang. They are a gang, and some of them just happen to be rap. They rap. And she, again, is using their rap lyrics as evidence to or support the indictment. Now, when this first came out, I saw a lot of people who were pleased, especially those who live here in Atlanta, because those who live here understand how bad it is, how crazy it has gotten with the violence. The victims who are victims of the violence, majority of them black victims, are happy that someone is doing something about it. A lot of these gang members are terrorizing people from city to city and county to county. And now there's been enough evidence to sweep them all up under a rug, which they call Rico. You guys, if you want to learn more about that case, please check out my previous video that I did on it. Now, Fani Willis is here doing a great job at this, amongst other things. Well, unfortunately, there's a segment within the black community that wants to paint her as the villain. Could you imagine? Here she is fighting crime as she is supposed to do, what she is hired to do, and you have some black people who are mad because she's arresting black people. Not mad at the black people committing the crimes. You're mad at the person stopping them. Make it make sense. You guys, and this is what we have to discuss with Tariq Nasheed. He puts an entire video bashing, disrespecting, insulting her and other people who agree with her doing her job. Again, somehow finding a way to make excuses to justify or use systemic racism or use racism to justify why he believes that her actions are a part of the white supremacy structure of America somehow. Someone please Make it make sense, right? But we're going to hear it from him. We're going to hear it from him. And this is what we have to talk about today. You guys, this is going to be a long stream. You know how I feel about these things. This isn't the second time. This isn't the first time I had to talk to someone who represents themselves as an FBA and then assume that they have an understanding of the criminal justice system. Though they're not educated in it. They never worked in it either. But yet they have the most to say and are grossly inaccurate. This is not the first time I had to do it. I had one. Bless her heart. She tried it. But she too was a follower of this almost cult-like leadership. You guys, conditioning is a thing. Brainwashing is a thing. And if you just so allow someone to massage your insecurities, you'll fall for it too. A lot of people drinking this black power Kool-Aid that's going around lately. You guys, what he's talking about is not black empowerment. It's black intolerance is what I'm hearing. It's divisive. It's ignorant. And it's grossly inaccurate. And it has to be addressed. Has to be addressed. Why? Misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, and fear-mongering is what I hear from this gentleman. Race, 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 color, 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 color. You guys, again, what we have in front of us is a color justice warrior, a Crayola justice warrior. Everything's about color. Everything's about race. It just can't be what it is. Someone's wrong, and this person's right. Sometimes, you guys, it's just that simple. We want to add color into it and muddy the waters every single time. Every single time. I wanted to have a discussion with him, but I couldn't find an email. I couldn't figure out how to reach out to him. I think I contacted him on his website. And then I heard this video. And I said, wise men don't argue with fools. There's no point. Because I already see his narrative. I see his agenda, you guys. It's divisive. Absolutely divisive. There's no point. There's no point. What is he talking about on this? He's trying to convince his followers that what Fannie Willis is doing, the DA here in Atlanta, Fulton County, what she is doing is wrong. And those who are supporting what she's doing is wrong. Not one time is he addressing the behavior of the people who are being arrested. Why is that? Because, see, there's a segment within the community that suffers from accountophobia. What is that? Accountophobia, you guys. The fear of being held accountable. So, you guys know how we do this. All right, Tariq Nasheed, welcome to Real Nathan Daley's classroom. Of the grossly ignorant.
All right, a lot of stuff we want to get into. Well, not too much, because I want to get some calls from the family. I want to see how you guys are doing. I'm gonna check in on you guys. Y'all give us a little retweet. Let everybody know that I'm live right now. What's up, Adonis? I see you, brother. Let me see if we got some familiar faces in here. Got a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. So welcome to all the new faces in here. Hope you all are following me. Few things we're going to touch on. What's up, Ray? I see you. What's up, Q? I see y'all in here. So what I want to discuss, what's up, Champagne Sharks? I get some calls from you guys in a minute. I want to talk about assisting in your own demise. Yesterday, we saw some people co-signing Fannie the Mammy out there in Atlanta, the prosecutor out there in Atlanta. There were some black folks sitting up here praising her, calling her a hero down there in Atlanta, because she stepped in and, she did a speech the other day, and she's on some old tough on crime. Oh, y'all ain't gonna be doing all of this in my city. Oh, she was playing that whole plantation mammy vibe all the way up. Yo, this my city. Y'all ain't gonna be.
Already, before, not even a minute in, he's already talking about race, you guys. What does he lead with? He leads with insults and he leads with disrespect. He calls her Fannie the Mammy, right? Like mammies, from a plantation. He's already, now, mind you, he's talking to his audience. He has a big following, you guys, on YouTube, and I'm sure other platforms. You guys, this is what they're listening to. This is what they're listening to. Plantation talk. Fannie the Mammy. Is he a comedian? Maybe. Or maybe he's doing this for entertainment, right? The same problem I came across with Lucas, the Lucas guy. You guys, it just started and he's already setting this stage up for an emotional reaction out of his audience. Right? He's already setting the stage. Why? Because the people who are listening to him support him, probably the majority of them, obviously believe what he believes. They need to cling on to the idea that racism is playing a part in this particular situation, and that she herself is a sellout. This is what he's picturing, you guys. He's already molding the entire theme of this stream that he has. Fannie the Mammy. Wow. This is a grown man, you guys. It's a grown man.
Doing all that. I got Rico for all of y'all. She up there quoting rap lyrics. So her thing is attacking black rappers, putting Rico charges on black rappers. That's her little niche that she's doing.
She's not putting Rico on black rappers. She's putting Rico on gang members who happen to be black and also happen to be rapping. One could argue that they did it to themselves. They are performing what they call drill music. And those who are familiar with drill music, they're rapping about the people that they're killing. They're rapping about the crimes that they're committing. They're bragging about it on social media. They're holding guns up on social media. They're holding up the jewelry and things that they stole and robbed from other people on social media. You guys, she's simply using the evidence that they are giving her for their own case. You guys know they are actually participating in their own demise. That's them. That's them. She's not arresting black rappers. She's arresting gang members that happen to be black, that happen to rap, and happen to put their evidence of their crimes and doings and mischief and deviant behavior on the internet. You guys, bless their heart, they made her job easy. What is he talking about? You guys see the ignorance is strong within this one. Very strong. And divisive.
And there's some black folks out here co-signing her, like, you go, girl. And while you go girling this woman, she has sat here and protected race soldiers within the police department. Her job is to protect white folks who kill black people, yet throw all types of all-in charges on black.
That's false. That's 100% false. She protects race. Where is he getting his information from? She's the DA of Fulton County. She's responsible for arresting all colors. And she has indicted all colors on the rainbow. Black people are not excluded from being held accountable. The problem is he's feeding into the people that are listening. And people are believing it. People are believing it.
Folks, do y'all really think that's a win? Black people, let me talk to the black folks here. You got to stop co-signing your own demise. You don't ever co-sign racial double standards. That's why this perverted ass system of white supremacy has lasted so long. Because too many of us will co-sign the racial double standard. I'm not co-signing any racial double standard. I'm not co-signing somebody who has been put in a position, okay, and allowed in a position. The key word is allowed. They allow her to get up there and throw Rico charges on black folks left and right while protecting race soldiers within law enforcement. She's allowed to do that. You don't co-sign a racial double standard, because if something is wrong, it's wrong for everybody. Black folks, stop co-signing racial double standards. Negroes like making excuses, but.
How's this co-signing racial double standards? I think what we like to do is conflate a lot of issues, right? We're talking about one thing and we want to conflate things from other situations and scenarios. People want to bring up things that happened 100 years ago and add it to the conversation that's current, that we're talking about now. People want to bring up cases for 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and want to make it current for right now. What we are talking about is the acts of a group of people who committed these acts of terror on citizens in the city of Atlanta and adjacent. That's what we're talking about. Now he wants to bring in stuff from all over the place to try to string his argument together because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Again, the reality is this: a group of individuals have been committing a lot of terror in the city. They happen to be black, some of them. They happen to rap, some of them. And they happen to be in a gang. And she wrapped them all together in a bow and she charged them. You guys, it's that simple. She has indicted white people for crimes, black people, Hispanics, and maybe some Asians, right? What are you talking about, Tariq? You know, people who talk like this have this hatred for police officers and the criminal justice system. You guys, you know, 90% of the time, they've had negative encounters with the police. They have been arrested. I would not be surprised if he's been arrested a couple times by the police. Absolutely. He never talks about accountability from the things that I've seen. Nope. Not at all.
Them niggas do be out there committing crime, though. Okay, everybody should be prosecuted. That's why I wasn't so big on the R. Kelly, them throwing him under the bus. I'm not co-signing anything anybody's doing with no damn kids, but you give that person the same treatment as the white ones too. Don't.
Now you're insinuating that white people don't get arrested for the same crimes black people do. I will say this, we're very well aware there's disparities in the criminal justice system. No argument there at all. Unfortunately, the way he's framing his statement is as if that these things don't happen to white people at all. Yes, there are actually more white, we're talking about R. Kelly, there's way more white pedophiles than there are black pedophiles that are arrested and convicted. They commit majority of the sexual crimes, especially against children. They are convicted. They are held accountable. Yes, there are disparities in the criminal justice system. But this right here is not a racial double standard. The issue is a crime's committed. You need to be held accountable. Unfortunately, you have people who circumvent around the law. This is true, right? The law and the justice system is not blind. That's a fact. That's 100% true. It's not supposed to be that way, but it's like that. Why? Because people are corruptible, right? Money, privilege, status, and those things just don't fall on white people. I know black people who circumvented around the law. There's a lot of black people who should be charged for things that are not because they have money, they have status, they know somebody. So miss me with all of that, please. You sound silly, but I hear what you're trying to say. But unfortunately, Tariq, your explanation, your lack of understanding of the issue is lacking context. Context that's very relevant to this discussion, which is why it's important that people who don't know what they're talking about don't need to be talking about it. Because then you make it about race.
Sit here and you got whole pedophile rings going on out here in Hollywood and they ain't doing nothing about, but then you're going to use R. Kelly as the person to throw the book at and make an example out of him, and you're using racial laws like the Mann Act. No, I'm not co-signing.
First of all, R. Kelly dodged so many bullets. The fact that it took him this long to arrest him just lends to my point from earlier. They've had video evidence. They had testimony. They had people, eyewitness testimony. They had all kind of evidence against R. Kelly, and he still managed to get away from it. Yeah, there's pedophile rings going around all through Hollywood, all through the government. Okay, yeah, all right. And who's going to tell on them? Who has the power to deal with that high up, right? Come on, like we get it. The people below the totem pole, the ones that get hit the hardest with the law. This is a fact. This is a fact. Money, status, power. Money, status, power. As if we don't know that.
There's some black folks who still co-sign that. Well, that's what he get. Shit. No. You don't let them usher in other racialized laws
So I guess
on the wrongdoing of one person.
So I guess based on his logic, then I'm assuming because you have some white people who get away with it, that R. Kelly shouldn't have been arrested? Is that the logic we're using? And this is what I'm talking about. And what does this have to do with this? And this is what I'm saying. Like he's good at he thinks he's good at his wordplay, right? Making an emotional argument. He's compounding things that have nothing to do with what he's talking about in order to get a visceral emotional reaction out of the people who are listening to him. Oh yeah, they sure did do that to R. Kelly. No, R. Kelly should have been arrested a long time ago. His money afforded him the opportunity to escape around the law. He's not the only one, you guys. He's not the only one. Case in point, one of the actors, Kevin Spacey, one of the good actors that I really enjoy a lot of his movies, House of Cards, a great show. You guys found out he sexually assaulted somebody. You guys, they took his career out of here, arrested him, right? White people get arrested too for these things. So it's like, please, man, come on. Like, this is crazy that we're still making these type of arguments. You know, now if we want to talk about disparities in sentencing, yeah, let's talk about it. I'm all for that argument. But this right here, what he's talking about, nah, he's setting the stage up for an emotional argument. And I'm not surprised. A lot of these guys who use the race card for everything, they can't see past color. Crayola justice warriors. This is what they do. That's what they do. Accountophobic. That's what he is.
No. We better understand how justice works and get the emotions out of it. If something is wrong, it's wrong when everybody does it. If a black person kills somebody, it's wrong. It ain't going to be okay if a white person does it. That's a sick thing to promote and protect.
No
we
one
don't
is
have
even
to
talking
protect that
about
type
that.
of stuff. That's maintaining the system. So the Fannie the Mammy, she's allowed to get out there and do all that mammying. The key word is allowed, which is a form of white supremacy. They get a token Negro or Negress to put in a certain position and have them do the dirty work for them. These people are puppets. Because if you have a black person in a position who's going
just say
against
Negress.
the white supremacists, oh, they get them out of there real quick. What's that sister? Is a black woman. They brought her in as a progressive. They keep using the word progressive. What was her position? I forgot what her position was. It was in one of these states, but they brought her in as a progressive. She was going to kind of clean up the act of this place. And all of these white officers resigned because this black woman was in office. And then all of a sudden, they fired her. They got rid of her because so many of these white people were resigning from their jobs, you see. And they kept saying, well, she got fired because a lot of people didn't like her progressive views. Progressive is just a code word for black. They always have to dress it up and make it seem like it's something other than race. But it's not our job to go along with that narrative.
Ignorance at its finest. An overabundance amount of ignorance. So much. It's overwhelming, you guys. He can't contain it. It's seeping out of his pores, you guys. This is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. Grossly inaccurate. But yet he spews these things with no research. What is he talking about? You guys, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. This is what I'm saying, you guys, and people are eating it up. Misinformation, disinformation, it doesn't matter. Anybody can come on YouTube apparently and just speak nonsense, foolishness. You guys, what is he talking about? He doesn't even know the job that the lady had that he's talking about. You guys, this is a reference to the lady who was, he made it about race, right? She was a city manager. She was a city manager for a small town. He's talking about when she got the job, everybody left. All the police officers left the city, right? I know you guys heard about it. Here's the problem with that. He's making it about race. You guys, it had nothing to do with race. Oh, she's progressive. Oh, that's another code word for black. What? Sir, where'd you get that from? Again, he's talking to his audience, you guys. Pandering to his audience, you guys. This is the modern day. He's like a Derek Jackson in a Koofy outfit, you guys. That's what he is. Black empowerment. No, black intolerance, you guys. This is what he's preaching. This is what he's preaching. Tells you everything that you want to hear and nothing what you need to hear. That's a problem. That's an absolute problem. Fear mongering, propaganda, you guys, misinformation, disinformation. He's grossly inaccurate and he doesn't care. But guess who also doesn't care? The people listening to him. Why? Because he's massaging their feelings. That's the problem with our community, guys. All this, tell you what you want to hear, you guys. He's a word wizard, casting spells of stupidity and ignorance over the people who are listening to him. They don't know any better. They eat it up. Why? They look at him as their savior, right? The FBA leader doesn't know what he's talking about. Not when it comes to this. He's talking about a lady who happened to be African American. She was voted in as a city manager. She beat everybody, you guys. Dozens of applications for the job. She won. They hired her. She was black. Tariq Nasheed will tell you that she got fired because she was black. And that the white officers who worked there, who quit, left because they were racist. That's what he's telling you. She was progressive. Means black. No, you guys, that's not what it means. It means progressive. It's just that simple. There are white people who have progressive ideologies, you guys. Listen, this man is dangerous. Why? Because he's grossly ignorant. He's a race baiter, race hustler, and he's a panderer beyond panderers, you guys. All right. Who was he talking about? The Kinley Police Department, right? I believe it was 5 police officers. This is the police chief of the department that he's talking about, that this black woman right here, Justine Jones. He's talking about Justine Jones, black woman, yes, got hired for the position city manager at the Kinley Police Department. She starts taking over, doing whatever she does, and they did not like it. She raised the standards, you guys, in that police department. She told them about being there on time. She talked about what not to do, loitering around, not doing your job. She got mad at the chief because he wasn't in the office during his work hours. You guys, and listen, she was writing people up. Now, I don't know all the details, but I know that much. And guess what ended up happening? The officers, all 5 of them, yes, they are white. They didn't like that, you guys. Guess what they did? They quit. The news media made it about race and said it was because she was black. You guys, the police chief never said that. He never said that at all. He said she made it a hostile work environment because she kept having unrealistic demands over the officers. That's why they left. They never said anything about her being black. But let Tariq tell you. Let Tariq tell you. What did Tariq say? It's because she's black. He's going to sell you racism, guys. Why? Because he's a Crayola justice warrior, and that's what they do. That's what they do. When all else fails, white supremacy. When I don't want to own up to it, white supremacy. When I'm wrong, white supremacy. Even if the evidence and the data supports that you're wrong, white supremacy, you guys. Color, everything. What is the issue with Tariq's argument in this, you guys? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Bless his heart, you guys. It's not his fault. He's designed to sell you lies. That's what he's here for. That's his purpose. To get you all in your feelings so you don't see the truth. Why? Because it's profitable. He said it's about her being black. You guys, I disagree. And you know why? I know Tariq doesn't do research. He blames everything on racism. You guys, contrary to his belief, the city councilor before her, Justine Jones, you guys, was also black. He was a black man. And you know why he got fired from his job as the city manager before Justine Jones? Allegedly sexual battery got him fired. It's because when he got fired, Justine Jones got his job, you guys. So now I know some of us don't use logic, and I know some of us don't. Shout out to logic. Let's bring logic back, right? I know some of us don't like to critically think, but here's the reality, you guys. Before Justine Jones, there was a previous city manager. You won't believe this. That city manager is this guy right here. Uh-oh. And he's black. You guys, he was a city manager, and all the white police officers didn't have a problem. Is it race? Is this racism? His name is Michael Douglas. Did not renew his contract. The city did not renew his contract after he was charged with sexual battery. Michael Douglas, 48 years old. You guys, this was posted 2002. Douglas is charged in connection to an incident that took place August 2019. Do your research. Do your research, Tariq, before you get on here and start talking about things that you don't know anything about. Like racism is his default mechanism for all his arguments. How do you beat an argument when everything's about race? Oh, I get it. You know what he's going to say now? That Michael Douglas, the previous black guy, right? The previous city manager that's black, he's probably going to call him a coon. And that's going to be justification for it. Oh, he's black. Well, you know, all black people don't. No. Right? Like that becomes the default argument. Then he's going to be like, well, he's probably an immigrant. Then you find out he's not an immigrant. Then it's like, okay, then he's just a coon. He's a sellout. He works on the plantation with Mammy the Phyllis Willis, right? Like see, it all comes back to this childish, immature, ignorant ideology where you try your best to the confirmation bias, right? With a little hint of the Dunning-Kruger effect. That's what we're dealing with. It's a mosh posh of complete
narrative. You see. So we have to stop going along with racial double standards. We've got to stop going along with our own demise. See, that puts us and keeps us in a subservient position if we co-sign racial double standards. If you're not going to punish these race soldiers, don't punish the rappers. You dig? Because punishing them, that's not going to quote unquote stop crime. You better understand a lot of the crime is allowed. Yeah, and I want black folks to understand something, man. A lot of these race soldiers, the police departments out here are so damn corrupt. These people get out here and they orchestrate crime. They allow crime to happen so that they can get budgets, man. You think these people won't sit up here and make deals with folks in jail like, hey, man, I'll let you out. But if I let you out, I'm going to have you do this, and then we're going to have to put you back in jail. But when you come back, at least you're going to have some, some nice little set-asides. We'll get you a comfortable cell. We'll get you...
I like how people will take a fringe incident, right? I have no doubt in my mind that has happened before, right? Come on, let's be real. Everything has happened before. Anything you probably can imagine as it relates to the criminal justice system has probably happened before. You guys, but when we start talking about reality and probability, it's something about when you hear about something, hey, did you hear about that correctional officer? You hear about that police officer that did this? And then someone like him takes it, right? And then applies it to their entire argument as if this is the norm. You guys, that's not the norm, right? If I asked him to I wouldn't even ask him to put a percentage on it. I know he wouldn't know any better, but The reality is, you guys, that's not the norm. The reality is that officers do get convicted a lot for the crimes and the stupidity that they do. There are cases where officers should be convicted and they're not convicted. That's a fact. There are cases where officers were not wrong and it looks like they should be convicted and they are not. So again, this is not the norm. And again, he's conflating things to try to make an argument sound decent or to try to make himself sound more intelligent than he actually is, you guys. And that's the problem. Because everything he's speaking of is speaking from a place where he wants to get an emotional reaction out of the people who are listening. The problem is he's selling them a bag of lies. And what they do with that information is the real issue. Now they walk around angry. You have people walking around angry and blinded to the truth because you're just talking. You're talking just to be talking. And you don't have a clue. And that's what makes them dangerous.
Commissary, real nice. But when we let you out for a hot minute, we need you to do this, that. We need you to do it in this location. You see.
I need
You
him
think they don't do
to.
deals
I need
like
him
that with
to.
folks in jail? They do it with them all.
I need to see the proof that you have that that's happened, Tariq. Because right now it sounds like you're speaking from a fantasy novel that you read. Unless you have some, I'm curious to know what information you are tapping into, to where you say that with such confidence. I'm really curious. I would love to ask him. Love to have a conversation with him about it. I absolutely would. Where are you getting that from? See, the things and the scenarios I speak on, I know 100% about, right? I know factually about. So I'm curious, are you just talking out the corner of your neck? Right? Do you know a real case like that? I'm curious. Where they've let an inmate out of prison to commit crimes and then go back in. Now, is it possible? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't put it past any of these departments or correctional facilities. You guys, corruption is a real thing. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. And there's different forms of corruption. Different forms of it. No, it should not exist, right? It absolutely shouldn't. It should be grossly reduced than what it is now, you guys. But, unfortunately, it exists everywhere. Absolutely exists everywhere.
All the time. And these folks get out and the police allow them to go out here and do a crime in a certain location. And then they say, oh my God, look at crime. Crime is insane. Look at all the smash and grabs. Man, we need a budget from the federal government. Then all of a sudden they get $1 billion allocated towards them and they're winking at each other. Man, money will make folks do some.
The problem with his argument is twofold, right? In one stance, he's the type to make an argument that there's too many people arrested and that we have an incarceration problem. And on one end, he's saying that the police aren't locking people up at all. They're letting them run the streets and commit crime, you guys. Again, he's going to make arguments that are going to be beneficial to what he's talking about in the moment. But obviously, a person like this is always going to walk over their words because their job is to get a reaction out of you in the moment. It's not to ever make sense, right? It's not to make timeless pieces of work. It's to get you riled up in the moment. What he's saying is absolutely backwards. Jesus Christ.
Real funny style stuff, man. Y'all better understand how this game works. It's not all that it seems. And black folks got to get off this self-effacing thing. Well, damn, man, we are so bad. We are horrible peoples. Oh, I hate these self-effacing Negroes who sit here and the white supremacists orchestrate all of this stuff, and then folks sit up here blaming themselves. You dig? We black folks got to do better. What is wrong with us? Shit. We out here just bullshitting. Well, nigga, look in the mirror. If that's the case, look in the mirror or just off yourself, nigga, if that's the case. But sitting here complaining about your blackness, that's cornball shit. And especially if you're not doing anything about it. I hate Negroes who sit up and talk about how bad the black community is. But we is horrible. Look at what we be doing. Especially old niggas. Look at us. Look at it. Just look at out here, all these street pants sagging and everything. Ain't doing your homework out here in these streets selling them doobies. They don't even know the drugs. They be all outdated drugs out here with all that damn angel dust. Oh yeah, out here selling all that smack. What y'all doing? Pull
All
your
right,
britches
can't
up,
lie, he
man.
funny though, right?
Okay, what have you done, Cletus? I've been working at the plant for 57 years. That's what I did. I worked. So that means nothing, nigga. We really haven't done anything to
You
improve.
could tell he was a class clown.
You see. And I'm not knocking anybody with a job or
Class
somebody who
clown.
worked at the plant.
You know how they
I'm not
turn out.
knocking you. Sometimes
90% of the
I
time.
did that cartoon skit I did about the fake hotep niggas who be real hotepish at home but kissing ass at work. There's a couple of niggas who got offended by that because that hit dogs holler. Hit dogs do holler. But the thing is, I don't want to see Negroes complaining about what needs to be done in the community and you ain't doing it. If all of these things are needed in the community
I
to make
agree with
everything
that.
right, what are you doing?
We agree
We
with
want
two
to see
things
you
so
do
far.
your part. Let me get some folks in here. Raise your hand if you want to get on and make sure your microphone is on. Let me get y'all in here. Make sure when you get on, your microphone is on. Let's get Dominique in here. All right, Dominique, what's up, brother? We'll get Dominique, then we'll get Smooth.
Yo,
What's up, Dominique?
what's going on, man? Hey,
What's up?
I just wanted to speak real quick, man. I remember when you were advocating for Paul Howard, and I was living in Atlanta at the time, and there was a lot of grassroots support for Paul Howard, and nobody was really messing with Fonnie Willis. And it's so funny that when I see these posts about Fonnie Willis is locking up these rappers, I see a lot of black people in the comments talking about, oh, that's good for her, lock them all up. But it's crazy that they don't have the same energy for the white supremacists, because let them do one thing to your children or anybody in your family, you want to cry foul and, oh, well, we need to get these white supremacists out of here. But y'all didn't have that energy, for Fonnie Willis to get her out of there because she wasn't doing shit for nobody to begin with.
Real talk. Real talk. Thank you so much, brother. You know what? And I bet a lot of these, how many of the folks up here co-signing Fonnie Willis are Tethers? I think about that. Atlanta, there's a lot of Tethers in Atlanta now. Atlanta ain't Atlanta like it used to be. There's a gang of Tethers in Atlanta. Atlanta ain't Atlanta like it used to be.
So for those who don't know, first of all, that caller, I don't know what he's on, but advocating for Paul Howard, he's actually under investigation for corruption, right? Allegedly having some money he's not supposed to have, spending money he wasn't supposed to spend. So shout out for those who voted for Paul Howard, right? The one that he's advocating for. Um, something about within the conversation where it's because they are rappers, they have money, and that they are exalted within the community as being important and idolized means that they cannot be held accountable or prosecuted for committing crimes. I also saw how people were upset that they were being arrested. They were mad. They're like, hey, free them, free them, free them. No, leave them where they are, right? Let them get held accountable for what the things they did allegedly do, right? And um, so Tariq has this thing I just learned about not too long ago, where he calls immigrants who live here, or I don't know how he defines it. He calls them tethers, right? Like tethering to this country. That is his thing, right? And so since he's been using that term, every now and then, if you go through YouTube, you'll hear people also, they'll make that statement. All these tethers need to go back to their country. It's weird how divisive someone's messages can be, and how the people who are becoming indoctrinated and conditioned by said messaging don't see themselves being lost in the negative type of ideology that is being spewed from his teachings. He uses a lot of dangerous forms of propaganda and disinformation in order to sway the minds of the people who listen to him. And some of them don't realize it, how deceptive the things he says, how divisive. One might argue what his intentions are and who hired him to do the things he intends to do, right? So with that being said, we all know, if you look at history and study history, this practice is not uncommon, right? You bring this guy in, you exalt him up amongst the group, and he's galvanizing all the people who are frustrated, angry, disappointed, insecure, looking for a leader, looking for purpose, looking for an identity. And then this person here was planted in order to give them that under the guise of an alternative, ulterior motive, right? And then funded by. But, who knows? I mean, history constantly repeats itself with these type of things. But nevertheless, let's get back to, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole too soon.
Y'all remember the old Atlanta. The old Atlanta was way different from what's happening down there now. The old Atlanta was a vibe. Down there, you don't know what you're getting into. You go down to Atlanta now, there's a nigga walking down Peachtree in a kente cloth thong. You don't know what's going on down there. You don't know what you're going to get. Nigga, I remember when the Lenox Mall was the Lenox Mall. I remember.
Hold on, people. When someone sent me this video, they said, listen, Tariq is funny. Like, regardless of the foolishness that he says from time to time, I have heard him crack a few jokes. He can roast too. He can definitely roast. That brother right there can roast. But can't take. No lies. I think the first time I remember going to Lenox Mall, I saw some brothers walking around they're in some high heel Timberland. They're in high heel Timberland boots, and they were thigh high boots, but they were Timberlands. I'll never forget. And I remember me and my best friend were there getting some stuff for work, and we're just like, what in the world? But that's Lenox. Now Lenox, you can't even go through the mall without. They have a police station in the mall. You can't even go through certain places without passing a weapon detector, not a metal detector, a weapon detector. It scans you for like gunpowder, all type of certain. I mean, sophisticated. That's how bad Lenox has gotten. So, let's continue.
Smooth, you want to turn your microphone on? Smooth, you have a pit bull on your page. Did you get me? There you go, Smooth.
Brother Tariq.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Oh, man, it's been a blessing, man. I've been good, man. How you been doing?
I'm good, man. What city you in, brother?
I'm up here in Detroit, man. You already know.
My man. What up, though?
Yeah. What up, though? Hey, this the wife. Let's say hi, babe.
Hi, Tariq.
Hey, beloved. How are you, dear?
I'm good.
What side of Detroit y'all live on?
Man, we out here off the west side. We was over here off 7 Mile.
Okay, cool.
Evergreen area, man. But we wanted to let you know, man, we love you, man. We support you. We deeply, man. We with you. We FBA all day, man. And we gonna be starting the podcast soon, man. And we really gonna be out here putting in the word, man, talking about all these crazy tethers and white supremacy. We gonna go in hard, man. We gotta be out here with you, man, because we trying to get out there with you also when you go down there to I believe it's Washington.
And there we have it. Right? Another spawn of ignorance is born. Just that quickly, you guys. Ignorance is malignant. It's malignant in nature, right? It just spreads, you guys. It spreads. You know the dangers of his ideology is that you start spewing the same hatred, not just against white people, but also against other black-skinned people, melanin people, right? To now you're trying to isolate yourself as a group that you seem to be, or you want to give the impression that you are better than other groups, right? That you are supreme, that you don't want to mix. I've been hearing people saying, hey, FBAs can't mix with immigrants, or tethers, as they call it. You see, he's using the language, right? You guys, you're looking at racism in progress. That's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. Oh, these tethers. Now you've just distinguished yourself from somebody else. Why? Because you're unable to determine which ones you like, which ones you don't. You lump them all in one group, call them tethers. You guys, what you just heard is what you call hate speech, right? That's a form of it. Again, this is racism in the progress, right? Racism in progress. Coming from people who say they don't like racist people. But you yourself are starting to become the same thing that you're complaining about. The same thing that's causing you to divide yourself, not just against white people, but now the dark skinned, brown skinned people. We got to separate from these. I got to talk about these tethers. Wow. 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 And the conviction in his voice. This is how it spreads, you guys. Yep. Black people make up what? 14%? Some say 15%. And we want to divide ourselves 15 ways. The name calling doesn't bother me. The mentality does. Don't care about the names. They mean nothing. Insults coming from grown children. They mean nothing. They mean nothing. The mentality is what's dangerous. How easily influenced is what's dangerous. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna do it somewhere else because they are still driving around with the permits, but we got some other stuff we got planned. Do y'all still have? They still have JJ Fish and Chips out there over on that
Yeah, they
side?
still have. Yeah, they
Oh,
still have JJ Fish and Chips. Yeah, they got a lot of places out there, man. You know, and it's also a lot of Africans, man, in Detroit now, man, with their businesses. So it's getting real crazy, man. They coming in the neighborhoods real thick and heavy lately, man.
okay. All right, man.
So
All right, man.
and
But man,
also,
thank you so much for the call, brother. Let me get some more folks in here.
The video, I'm gonna cut it there, but I'll leave the original video and the link for you guys to go back and rewatch. I did stop it a couple times. And that's pretty much what I wanted to cover, but I wanted to bring some context to a couple things that he said. You know, he talked about there's no Rico, right? They're not doing Rico against white people and things of that nature. And that's not true, you guys. And, you know, again, you know, the purpose of my channel is to provide insight and discuss things that a lot of people, one, are afraid to talk about, or two, they just don't know anything. You guys, I'm in a very unique position, right? I've been black all my life. At the same time, I've been a police officer for a very long time, and I've worked in a lot of different areas. And I, you know, had access to a lot of stuff that the average person doesn't have access to, even the average officer. And so, you know, and I put myself in position to actually learn things. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The problem that we have here is that we don't have people who are genuine and honest to talk about these issues. And unfortunately, you have people who are not genuine, who are here to make money, who are here to maintain some type of an image. They're trying to promote a book or something or whatever. Like, there's a hidden agenda, right? Hidden colors, right? You got people hiding in the colors. But nonetheless, what are we going to talk about? There's this myth, especially I hear him say in this stream, that police don't get prosecuted. Police are being protected. You guys, the police get prosecuted as high as 72%, right? This is things that people don't know about. Never even had to talk about it. But I tell people all the time that the police do get prosecuted. You don't hear about it. But because you don't hear about it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. You know, the things you hear about are high profile cases, and that's it. No one does any research outside of that. There is a myth that goes on within the black community that the police, AKA as some like to call it, race soldiers, especially the white officers, are never held accountable, you guys. That's 100% false. Yes, like anybody else, you have some officers who can skate around consequence. Yes, I've seen it happen. You have the majority of officers are held accountable and are convicted, you guys. And we're going to go over that data. We're going to talk about it. What else did he say? He said, as you locking up these black kids for Rico, he's asking for equality, right? He said, you guys are out here celebrating Fannie Willis, but he's saying there's a double standard, right? He's saying he can't stand for that. You guys, there have been police officers that have been hit with Rico cases. You never heard about it. Why? These things don't make the news, you guys. I know officers who've been convicted, state and federal. You guys, these things happen a lot. On average, approximately 1,000 officers arrested and convicted a year. Consistently. It's very consistent across the board. You guys, I'm going to show you the data. Right? We're going to talk about it. Matter of fact, and I'm going to show you some examples. Because I think one of the biggest problems that we have here is that, again, you have people who are unqualified. Who am I talking about? Tariq Nasheed. He's unqualified to talk about the things he's talking about in regards to this. Now, if you want us to go and make a movie about black history, sir, by all means, go do it. But if we're talking about stuff right now, even 20, 30 years ago, listen, we're talking about this particular, there's certain things, right? I'll give him that. Tariq Nasheed. I'll give you some of the stuff he say. I'll give you that. But he adds a lot of his pandering on top, right? He just can't keep it all the way real. He got to add some pandering on top. But let's look at some of this data, you guys. I think this is going to be interesting. I want to show something that I think is important. You know, we already debunked his issue with, the black city manager that he absolutely knew nothing about. You guys, let's talk about the Rico charge. And outside of the Rico charge, let's talk about Rico, because he believes that this obviously doesn't happen to white gangs and white supremacist groups. Because that's the argument that's being made from one of his guests that came up. Oh, they don't do this to the white supremacists, right? Again, these Crayola justice warriors, you guys, all they see is color. So we're going to educate them, you guys. You know how I do on this channel. You guys, so listen, this is, let's talk about this. Multiple white supremacist gang members among 54 defendants charged in Rico indictment, you guys. I will put a link to this article in this stream so you can do your own research and read it for yourself, you guys. This stuff happens all the time. Do you see the date on here? February 12, 2019, you guys, was just the other day. 54 defendants of a white supremacist gang, you guys, Rico. Do we have people who actually believe that black people are the only ones catching Rico charges? Please, let's not say that. But somebody's going to move the goalposts. They always do when it comes to race, right? Charges include solicitation of murder, kidnapping, maiming, Jesus Christ, and conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. Dozens of members of a white supremacist gang allegedly responsible for multiple acts of violence were charged in a superseding indictment unsealed today in the Eastern District of Arkansas. White supremacy gang, 54 defendants charged with Rico. October 28th, 2020, the year right after. What is this? Ongoing investigation into violent white supremacy gang results in Rico indictment and additional charges amongst gang members and associates. New charges include racketeering, influence in corrupt organizations, and conspiracy. Look, assault, kidnapping, aided racketeering, and accessory to murder. This is what they're talking about from the Justice Department. I believe this gang is called, listen, here's all the names down here, you guys. I'll put the link to it. Felicia King, 55, of Willissa, Alaska, was charged with accessory after the fact for her role against August 2017 kidnapping and beating and murder of Michael Stanton, a.k.a. Steak Knife. Jesus Christ. Justin Eaton, a.k.a. Skulls, 45, Acreage, Alaska, who had been previously charged in a separate indictment as a felon in possession of firearm, was charged with RICO conspiracy, kidnapping, and assault for his role in April 2017 beating of a former 1488 member. For those who don't know about the 1488 gang member, that's a big time white gang, you guys. Again, I will put the link here in the description for you to read. Now, if someone would please kindly do the favor of passing this information on to Tariq Nasheed, just in case he's ever in a position again where he wants to say something that he has no idea in reference to what he's talking about. You guys, we're going to help him out over here. All right? We're going to help him out. We're not going to let the brother look that bad. This gets even better, you guys. What ends up happening? Check this gang out. This is interesting. February 21st, 2019. This is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whew. Now, the white supremacist groups up there are wild, you guys. There's a lot of them. What are they talking about? 18 members, associates of white supremacist gangs indicted for racketeering and drug distribution. RICO. But guess what? This is a unique one, you guys. This is from people inside the jail, in prison, right? They are actually catching RICO cases while they're in prison and they're white. See, you wouldn't know that though. And you never heard of these gangs. You guys, I know a lot about these things. They never make the news. You don't hear about it. A lot of these things stay local, you guys, but the police information, investigations, you guys, I know a lot of stuff. That's how I know the media is manipulating people. Not only that, the information's here, you guys. What is 18 members and associates of a white supremacist gang, the Universal Aryan Brotherhood, were charged in federal court Thursday for alleged roles in conspiring and racketeering enterprise, kidnapping, and drug conspiracy. These charges resulted from the investigation U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, Homeland Security, IRS. You guys, these guys were setting up murders. They were setting up drug deals while inside the jail, prison. All right. All this is here. I'll put the link in there for you guys to look at. Check this out. We're going to talk about police officers catching RICO charges. These are cops. Virgin Islands. We're going to do out of the country. Here we go. Virgin Island police officers and Port Authority officers guilty of RICO. St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, you guys. Right? And we all know drugs was involved in this one. Police catching it. Who else, you guys? Check this out. Jury selection begins. Federal RICO conspiracy case against 6 officers. Some of them beat this, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a long story with this. This case is very interesting. If you guys aren't familiar with this, the stuff that they allege these officers were doing was straight out of a movie. corruption to its finest. Check this out. 7 Baltimore cops indicted on federal Rico charges, you guys. Cops catch Rico too. Tariq? A lot. Tariq? 7 federal officials announced racketeering charges against 7 Baltimore cops Wednesday for crimes ranging from filing false overtime reports and robbery. Look at these. Pathetic. Whew. One cop is facing separate charge for drug distribution. Some committed some crimes of elite gun task force investigated them. Let's see what it says real quickly. Those are just the names. These are the officers again. I mean, corruption. Absolutely need to be charged. Absolutely need to be found guilty. They committed these things that they said they did. Like, come on, this is pathetic. This is one of the issues people have with law enforcement, obviously. But guess what? It took police to catch a police, right? And here they are, right, being charged for a Rico charge. Police don't catch Rico? Absolutely they do, right? Absolutely. When they operate as a gang, as an organization, yes, absolutely, you guys. So again, contrary to what Tariq or someone else would tell you guys, I'm here to give you the truth. Stop listening to people who don't know what they're talking about. 10 Metro police officers face corruption charges, you guys. Listen, I know about this case intimately. Why? It happened in my jurisdiction. It happened at one of my departments. Absolutely. I knew 2 of these officers. Corruption probe conducted by the U.S. Attorney's Office has resulted in the arrest 10 current and former police officers accused of accepting thousands of dollars in exchange for facilitating cocaine sales for street gangs. Yes, Atlanta police officer Calvin Allen, DeKalb County police officer I worked at, he's in there. Another Atlanta officer, Stone Mountain officer. All these are Georgia. Amarda police transit officer, Stone Mountain again. DeKalb County sheriff. Listen, you guys, I'm familiar with this case. I remember when it happened. I remember when I was sitting in the office when this broke out. Yep. I'll tell you how that story went. I talked about it on another stream, but again, this was in obviously 1, 2, or 3 of these officers worked at my department. I was actively working at when this happened. Charged. These officers were charged. Dozens of police officers arrested in Puerto Rico on FBI's biggest crackdown on corruption. You know what's going on over there, right? At least 89 law enforcement officers were seized as part of a massive drug trafficking probe. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder revealed results 2-year investigation. Puerto Rico, you guys, they get these officers. This is back in 2010. Now, some can argue how often is it easy? No, I mean, but to say it doesn't happen, to say it doesn't exist is absolutely wrong. 3 current and former NYPD officers charged with bribery. That's October 1st, 2021. Come on now. Federal court. Officers are getting convicted, you guys. Three Miami police officers arrested in drug sting. October 24th, 2018. You guys, you don't hear about it, but it happens. 4 NYPD officers were arrested Monday morning for accepting trips, lavish gifts, and prostitutes from 2 Brooklyn businessmen in exchange for police escort, access, and gun license, federal prosecutor says. There we go. Out of here. Can't do it. Can't do it. Check this out. Another good one. Police prosecution. Entire North Carolina Police Department suspended after police chief charged with corruption. Yikes. Right? Come on, you guys. I got it. 8 Shreveport police officers accused of excessive force. Charged. Check this out. This is the most recent one, you guys. This is just the other day. This article is for September 10, 2022. Florida sex trafficking sting nabs 106 people, including Georgia Deputy Police Chief Jason DePrima. You guys, listen. You got cops catching cops. What a sick bastard this is. Look at him. Jesus Christ. How embarrassing. Send him to prison. Send him to prison, you guys. We don't want him here doing this job wearing the uniform. And that's the chief. Yeah, it's sad, right? It's unfortunate. I get it. I get it. I get it. Study finds over officers arrested 1,100 times per year, 3 per day nationwide. You guys, the police absolutely are being held accountable. Let me go over some data real quick as we close this stream out. This is according to the Bowling Green State University. They conducted some research over a 7-year time span in reference to basically in reference to police accountability, officers being arrested, and what that looks like, discipline records and things like that. Over the course of 7 years, they did this research, and this is what the data came up, and I'll put this also in the description for you guys to look at. But let's just go over this. Again, approximately 1,100 police officers arrested a year. It's very consistent. 1,100. Contrary to people's belief, police are being held accountable. You guys, they are prosecuted at approximately 72% for crimes. Conviction rate of 72%. That's high. That's higher than most crimes. Average crimes in general, usually 65 to 68% conviction rate. Police officers, 72% conviction rate. You guys, contrary to your belief, police officers are held accountable. And there are times when they're not. There are times when they're never found out about, you guys. I get that, and I agree with that. But we're talking about what we do know. And this is what we do know. Let's look at the research they did from 2005 to 2011. According to the data, the amount of officers being arrested and convicted has gone up over the last 7 years, right? This is what the data shows. Here you go. According to the research, the most common crimes were simple assault, drunk driving, aggravated assault, and a significant numbers of sex crimes. Yeah, I can see that. Again, about 72%, approximately 72% of officers charged in cases with known outcomes are convicted. More than 40% of the crimes committed were on duty. All right. Nearly 95% of the officers charged are men, which makes sense because it's predominantly male-driven profession. Here we go. In the 7 years of the study, the researchers compiled 6,724 cases, which approximately are 960 cases a year, involving about 792 officers per year, and 674 officers were arrested more than once. That's a problem, right? See, I like this research because it gives you an idea of what things have been missed, why it's been missed, and how it needs to be corrected. If 674 officers were arrested more than once, that's a problem. One could argue that once you get arrested and are found guilty of whatever you're arrested for, that should end your police career, right? One would think. Here we go. In cases involving allegations of sexual abuse, 72% of the officers were fired. and more than 80% resulted in convictions. That's actually good, right? It's actually good. 80% conviction rate for officers involved in sex crimes or sexual allegations of sexual abuse. There were 422 reported cases of forcible and statutory rape, 352 cases of forcible fondling, 94 sodomy cases over the 7 years of the study. That's crazy. That's absolute crazy. There were 174 examples of male officers arrested in case of driving while female. Basically, you guys, that's when officers pull over a woman just because she's like attractive and they kind of harass her and things like that. Out of those cases in which women drivers were harassed or assaulted, 82% of those cases ended in convictions. All right. There were 125 officers charged with murder or non-negligent manslaughter in the 7 years of the study. Of the 125 cases, 107 have been resolved, and 77 of those officers were convicted. A 72% conviction rate. Right? I'm really curious to know what you think about this. I know more than likely there'll be some of his people in the chat. They're probably in the chat now. I don't know, right? And I don't know if I'll even be able to see this. You know, I might be on the plane or something like that when this releases. But hopefully I'll be grounded to where I can actually respond back. So I'm curious to know how this goes. Dre more than likely will be defending the chat. What is the problem here with this guy, Tariq Nasheed? Is Tariq Nasheed his real name? Something about that, the way the name flows and the persona he puts together just doesn't seem real to me. Let's just be honest. That's my police intuition, right? Something about it seems off. These nonsensical arguments that he makes. Now listen, I'm all for black empowerment. I'm not for black intolerance, you guys, and that's what he's preaching. That's his messages. There's segments of his message. I won't say all of it. But there's segments in his message relating to race, relations, and identity that are dangerous. The divisiveness, the division, dangerous, really dangerous, you guys. Using fear-mongering, propaganda, misinformation, disinformation in order to win over supporters. What is he doing? Essentially, you guys, he's race baiting. He sounds like the same people he's complaining about. He sounds like a racist. Trying to isolate a group of people from a group of people. From within a group of people. And set them apart. Convince them that they are different than others. Very dangerous thing he got going on, you guys. He's the ultimate Trojan horse, you guys. The ultimate Trojan horse. See, what they end up doing is decorating the container. Beautiful container. It's what you see. But if you're not careful, you never look inside. Inside is where it's most important. An empty vessel. Absent of substance. But full of decor on the outside. It's distracting. It's surface. Highly decorative. but no substance. Dangerous ideology this man pushes. Why? Because the truth is what you see, but it covers lies. And what good is that? What good is that? This messaging mirrors that of Hitler. Those who studied his work, you see how he used this propaganda, used this wordplay to carry out and do the things that he did. How this man was able to convince hundreds of thousands of people that they were better than another group of hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people. How he was able to do it. How? Propaganda. Fear mongering. You're better than them, those, Tethers, others. And people believed it. You guys, this is a strong, educated observation of the behaviors of Tariq Nasheed. Outside of his ego and narcissistic personality, you guys, he projects a lot of the things he's complaining about. A lot of the insults he projects. The things he says to deflect from arguments, discussions, being held accountable. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Fight for what you're fighting for, brother. No one's mad at that. I support you on that 100 times over. But sometimes it's not about what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. And what you're doing it for. Starting to question his commitment to the real cause. People are going to hate that I say that. But to be honest, you guys, it's very obvious to me. I can see it. My issue's not with him. It's the people that follow him. You know, I'm concerned about the people that follow him. They're going to like that. They're not going to like that at all. Anyways, you guys, that's it for the premiere. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Tariq Nasheed. You know what's funny? You guys, if they're not familiar, that's the flag, FBA. I don't know if that's the flag in the background, but what are your thoughts, you guys? I'm curious to know what you're thinking. Hopefully I can be in the chat. I really want to see you guys' thoughts as breaking this down, but by all means, have at it in the comment section, right? Have at it. Now, this is not a shot against Tariq Nasheed. It is just a simple observation. And, you know, let this age well. All right? Let it age well. Something's not right about all this stuff that's going on, but we'll see. Right? Now, and that's not to discredit the things that he has done. You know, he's put out some movies and documentaries, again, like I said, that people are very proud of. He's had a lot of prominent speakers in those videos, and I'm not saying that he has not said things that are truthful or that he hasn't spread positive information. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's certain things he talks about that's a concern. There's certain ways he goes about it. For someone who's a grown, mature man, that's a concern. There are certain messages that he has that's very divisive. That's a concern. And there's certain things that he speaks on that's not correct. That's a concern. Again, Tariq Nasheed, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying you're not accurate. And there's a difference. And those differences matter, especially when we're talking about things when you're not an expert in. Consult with those that know more than you. When you're talking about topics you don't have a clue as to what you're talking about, respectfully. Any thoughts, you guys? Put it in the comment section. With that being said, let these truths find you where the lies have left you. Good night. God bless.